좋아하던데요.ペパレックス戦に勝った後は、周りからもすごく褒められたんですけど、自分たちの納得いく結果ではなかったので、マスターズ
Omega have insane teams, have there's good teams, have decent teams, so just like basically, I mean, we just need to.
'25 VCT Pacific, Stage 1. Rise Pacific. Detonation focus me.
Woo! Here we go, VCT Pacific. Now we got DFM and Global Esports kicking off our very first day of Stage 1. We got two teams who showed massive improvement, definitely working and upgrading on those walkouts, and workouts. And we got two teams looking to prove what they're made of. DFM is looking fresh, very different looking than how they ended kickoff just 2 months ago.
Yeah, they're feeling good now. I mean, they surprised in kickoff. They had a great offseason. They couldn't convert it all the way. And now is their time to really show everybody what they're about. Can they live up to all this hype? You know, we know they beat PRX in kickoff, but is that going to be enough? Can you carry that through? That's the big question for today.
And of course, the big question for Global Esports now with Patrick, who he's here. He's finally here on Korean soil, and he's really ready to join the rest of his squad here. And we saw a lot of promise from the squad already, Pilski. Is this the final piece to bring them to the top?
They started really strong in kickoff, and they need to do so again here. A game against DFM is a game that you must win when you're talking about a round robin format. There can be no slow starts here, or it may necessitate you to upset one of the top teams in the group later on if you want to make the playoffs.
And we do have two IGLs on both sides who are, I have to say, they are the stars of their squads. They've done so much for their teams. How do you feel they're going to be matching up today? Because we got our coaches, Northern Lights and Juvenile, getting ready to go. These two teams had a lot of time to prep.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting how both of these teams call. I think GE will lean towards that more structured approach. DFM a little bit looser in how they play. Rewatching that game from kickoff, I felt like the calling from DFM was so on point, and that was a huge part of what got them that win. So I really want to see if they're able to continue that through to today, because if so, I think there's a world where they could look very dominant.
I think GE are going to show us another gear where they can see the lineup that they originally thought in the way that they planned it. They're not just going to have to rely on individuals making big plays, players like Papi clutching in those initial games, Udatan popping off on the duelist. We're going to see what this lineup was put together for, and is that going to be good enough to beat a DFM who started off the year so strong?
Now, you guys didn't seem very inspired by the map draft, I have to say.
It's not inspiring. They're not playing any of the new maps.
But, I mean, maybe with Patrick Hu here, things might be changing up a bit.
Oh,
yeah.
We've got a Yoru in this.
Yeah, the GE comp is very interesting. I think it's obviously Breach Tail style. Yoru is able to take that space really well. When they get to defense, expect a lot of trap plays off that side for utility. You have a lot of punish. Very different stylistically to what DFM are doing.
I mean, DFM, it's the stock standard. It's the old Gen G comp. You mix in the Vice with that. You've seen the popularity of changing up those walls on defense, of using the Arc Lotus to be able to aggress or get info. So I think for DFM, it's a bit more of a standardized comp from them.
Now, we didn't get to hear your prediction for Global Esports, Morgan. Why have we picked Global Esports today?
I'm a Patrick Hu believer. I believe in the rematch curse. I just think now's that time.
All right, now to bring us through this, we got the Masters Grand Finals casters to take us through Lotus. We've got Achilles and Paperthin.
Hello, thank you very much. I'd like to say we did not ask for that introduction. We're just a couple of guys. That's all.
Just couple chill guys. Couple chill guys.
Couple chill guys. Anyway, welcome back. Stage 1, ready to begin. Always a pleasure to be back in the arena. Anytime we have a break, we're just like, oh, but you got any more of that work first? When's that going to start again?
You got any more of that Valorant?
Because we like our jobs. So
Yeah.
happy to be back in the studio and ready to dive into the series, which is a very interesting one. DFM looking very strong during kickoff with the upgrades here. Global Esports, similar scenes, but now with their full original intended 5-man roster, this should be a hell of a clash.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot to prove for both of these teams here today. They squared up against each other once. During kickoff, it was DFM who won 2-0. Granted, the split was very close. Abyss isn't in the map pool here for DFM, a map that they really relied on to get them some big wins. But I think if you look at this group, if you look at the way that this is going to shape out, in my mind, this is almost a must-win for both of these teams already. This group is stacked. This group is deadly. This group has all of the Pacific champions in it. Can DFM or GE find a way to get a win here, find a way to get themselves into the playoffs as we begin the road to Masters Toronto?
Alrighty, well, let us find out. Take a look here. Global Esports have not been the pistol princes that they have been in the past. It's been DFM who overall have looked quite good in that regard. Let's see if that's going to continue, if Global can start trending back in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. And, pistol rounds are a lot of, hard reads or just, maybe somebody pops off with the ghost, hits some heads. But they're so important right now in the Valorant meta, right? You're going to hear this all over the place that because of the way the economy works, because of guns like the Outlaw that are available, it's really easy to win bonuses, maybe compared to days of old. A little bit of a peek out there. Patrick Hu spots it.
But this is all just to try to keep this disguised here. This maneuver from Ken. In behind the box, waiting for his timing, sees the fake out. Clone, swings the corner, finds a headshot. Patrick Hu, welcome to the stage. You have to wait for that second round to begin. You're on the floor.
Well, the good news for GE is they did sell this fake well enough. They kept 3 players from DFM on the other side of the map, so they're able to sneak their way through. Yudotan did take some damage, slowed up by the vines. Good flash.
The flash is there, but boom, only able to find one. Kelly's going to be taken down. Prowler goes out. Scouts Crystal here in this position. They know he's behind the wall. Still does well to find that kill before getting taken down by Art. He's caught off guard by Kelly S lurking just outside of door. The falling though. That does leave Poppy now in a 1v2. Given what we know about this guy, he's absolutely capable of it. Spike, however, still dropped, has to retap. Sets up the smoke. Just decide the pile of this. A 2v1 facing towards Tree, and he gets it damn close, but it will be May to go ahead and close out the pistol win.
Yeah, I think what I'm really liking early here from DFM on this defender side is they're playing for trades. They're playing to set up, an early trap there is going to get GN a kill, but after that, it's just a lot of good working off of each other to make sure that they're getting those kills. One goes down, another one is there to step right in. And that's encouraging. The teamwork for DFM. When they're locked into that mode, they can beat anybody on the planet. Saw it in the offseason, saw it in kickoff. This team definitely can be scary. And they're going to go with an all Bulldog loadout. Every single player on DFM going for the rifle.
Not wanting to give him any kind of opportunity here. I thought maybe we would see an early save here from Art, not buy down, go for that Odin nice and early, but Jinbung able to just get a couple stray shots there, sensing a timing. As Yutan similarly tagged up, Crystal dead. And the odds of GE putting a dent in this DFM lineup at the moment looking pretty unlikely.
Yeah, going to be very challenging to break through these defenses. Good read here early from DFM, good crossfires. Some really good util from Akame to make sure that some of those players trying to get through. A bit of a stun there, but GN right there. Oh, 3 kills for GN. Woo, that was snappy.
They're versus classics, but yeah, that was still very swift. Nice little pivots there from GN. And A very, very clean round. Flawless for the side of DFM as they start offload is 2-0.
Yeah, and again, I like that DFM is really playing for each other. God, that's good. And this is kind of what you're going to need for DFM if they're going to start making deeper runs, if they're going to start making playoffs, if they're going to, who knows, maybe make an international event. You're going to need GN to step up. He's this guy that you bring in off of, you know, the rank servers, essentially. He had played a little bit here and there, but, you know, May really vouching for him onto this DFM team. Had some rough matches for sure during kickoff, but we know that his mechanical skill, in theory, should be there. Just need to see him kind of integrated with this roster a little bit more, but with that Viper there for the side of DFM, I like this change up for GN. I think it gives him a little bit more comfort, a little bit more room to work the map, kind of set himself up individually in both his team. He can really cut off a lot of the map, keep GE guessing. Drone does get the spot there on a Jinboom.
Jinboom a little bit too early with that jiggle peek. As well, Crystal, yeah, I was going to say, door gets opened up. He's got line of sight. With that outlaw in hand, able to find one. May just peel off a kill, but falls down quite low. Jin Shields taking him to a total of 35. Is spike going to be planted? Jinboom looking to try to scale off this, but he's already noted previously. And okay, distract on the door. The swing out from May, able to find one. Jinboom at the same time, finding Poppy before getting taken out by Kelly S. Seeing Patrick Hu now versus 2, and Art will be the first to fall. May, with just no HP to work with, not going to be able to get it done. Global will go ahead, deny a bonus conversion, but he still suffers some heavy losses.
Yeah, some decent damage done, and May there with a quick wrap back towards attacker spawn to find that flank angle and gets a kill with 10 HP. That's a really nice pickup there for him. Good early play through that door, kind of expecting the trap, have that outlaw ready to go. Shut the players down. Nice off angle for Patrick Hu. LAS able to work from up on top. Get that big kill. The IGL trying to hype up the squad. Get GE back involved. Getting close to some ultimates though. Kelly S only a couple away. One away for Patrick Hu as well, so should be able to potentially grab an orb. Get that Yoru ult, which is so annoying to deal with as a defender, especially on Lotus. There's just so many places that you can creep into.
Oh, and GN, they just fall right into his open arms. Kelly S a bit too late on the swing to be able to really find that punish and save his comrades' lives. They end up getting taken down, bait out. With unable to find the thorns, find the wall. The pop, but what is going to be the pivot call?
We've seen some really impressive spray transfers already from GN. He has been really on point today. And again, a big part of DFM's new roster is getting him fired up, getting him online.
Elias pushing forward, peeking to waterfall, able to find one. Cage out, Jinboom just gonna disrespect that. It's gonna be the spike drop now here towards back sight. Finds the follow-up, Yutan not able to try to keep them in the round. All on Crystal. Looking for the first, finds it, the headshot connecting there. The spray a bit frantic, but eludes damage. 1v2. Still though, the salvo's a world away. The high-low setup, and they line up for him! What a Red Bull clutch as Crystal gets the 3K and ties us up at 2-2 DFM. Oh, they're gonna be kicking themselves after that.
No doubt about it. That's, I mean, phenomenal work here by Crystal. Really like to see this. GN again, nice play there to find 2. This round looks like it's done and dusted. Jinboom holding the back of the site really nicely. Finds an awkward timing where GE isn't able to kind of come at him at the same time. And that's huge. That's a bit of a positional mistake in my opinion on DFM though. If you're gonna run that high-low, there's those boxes in the back corner you can set up on.
There's a small bit of movement there. I believe it was Art kind of inching to the side. They end up getting a little bit more clustered together. As look, they're just trying to take their weapons away, flood out in towards rubble, but Global quickly pivoting back. Orb gonna be snatched up here by May. One away from having that showstopper online.
But with those ults available for the side of GE, you almost have to play retake as DFM off the rip unless you can just bottleneck the front of like B or something like that, which is why you're seeing DFM, along with the weaker weaponry, really thinking about trying to do something like that. But right now they don't have much information on the map. They're making a hard read that maybe it's A that GE is heading to. They haven't had much contact anywhere else on the map, but Art's about to get a rude awakening. Oh, just a pop of the wall, okay.
Top of the wall. Paranoia is still held there by Art.
Who's next?
Waiting this out. Is Mask gonna go on? Patrick Hu. Not ready yet. Chasing forward, scouting things out. Pings it, fault line. goes through. Art does manage to slink away, but the side is opened up. GE now in control. 5 members strong. Versus the eco attempt here from DFM.
Oh, for DFMs, you'd love to try to get one of, if not both of the ults that are left in play for GE. The Armageddon and the Rolling Thunder out of their hands, if possible. See if they can make a go of it.
And Art's just in such a poor spot. Does go ahead TP across to the opposite side, but Poppy watching long sight lines here. Is even the Rolling Thunder going to be committed? Global Esports just wanting to ensure that they can gain the lead right here, right now. Not going to be a flawless here as May able to find 2. Some decent damage dealt, but Crystal with a final shot from the Outlaw will be able to go ahead and clean things up. So an ult committed, but Global Esports now in the lead 3-2.
Yeah, good patience shown by GE, making sure to pop that wall, keeping DFM guessing where they were going to be on the map. Some attempts at hard reads there by DFM on the eco. Not able to quite find the mark, but you got the Rolling Thunder out. You used the Yoru ult as well for GE, so all things considered, not the end of the world. But you're going to start to need to string some rounds together. Crystal's double kill clutch. Looking to maybe be a difference maker here, as you do have the neural theft as well for Udotan. Of course, Poppy with his ult, but Showstopper available for May, and he's just down, he's out.
Oh, wait, what a shot there. Patrick Hu just swinging forward. May clearly not ready for that, ends up getting taken down. So Showstopper not going to be a part of the equation.
Seeing some good change of pace from GE to start this. Kind of showing some different looks at Rubble. This time around, they're going to take a bit of a pause, kind of regroup, rethink, try to see if they can convince DFM they're somewhere else on the map, but Drone's going to go out, a Prowler from Akame as well. Now DFM trying to gum up the works. What a shot.
I mean, Jinbook's just out into the open, though. Sure, he's able to find one, but he cannot try to make, trade this back and get into any real advantageous position. Now the neural theft going to be committed. Gifton feeling all is just looking for a little timing there on the corner. Kame here at backside, able to find one. The Haunt about to go through, knows that they're scaling forward rapidly, trying to get in on top of him. They know that he's stuck into the corner. The classic drawn out. Gifton will be able to find that kill. Gen now, though, arriving, both players so very low. 37 health between the two of them. The face out, and Gen knocked down the 10 HP. It was looking like a very solid 1v2 position, now becomes nigh unwinnable. Unless he can really isolate and conquer here. Swing all the way into the back of the B site. Plant comes through.
Spike planted.
Just a fault line to work with for Kelly S. Gonna play very far back. Use that waterfall position. Probably to fault line off a tap of the spike, and then him and Udotan can swing together.
So he'll know exactly where he's coming from as that trip gets cleared out. Kelly S, the fault line at the ready. Time starting to tick away here, Tien. Looking like the call is going to be that this is not going to be a winnable round for the team. Fault line does hit its mark, but he's just going to go ahead and drift away from the spike, which will erupt as Global Esports maintain the lead, stretching it by 2 rounds.
This is starting to look a little rough for DFM. It seems like that one round kind of changed their destiny. It looked really clean early. Since then, they haven't really found those kind of timings, those moments where they're able to kind of play off of each other. Wow, that's a nasty shot from Patrick Hu. That's why you're bringing him in here. Be that duelist, be that entry fragger. Can kick doors in for you. GN there, that last one, he had a chance if his crosshair was just a little bit lower, but he was expecting the wide swing. Therefore, took a ton of damage. Not able to get any other value out of that round. Again, though, big ults, judge for Art. So, gotta be careful here as GE.
I mean, flashed up, kind of just all clustered together over towards Baby Door here. Nakami can take it down, TP forward, up into the smoke. Patrick Hu, feeling past, able to find one. Art does finally strike that judge being put into play, but he's not ready for Udotan.
Last player standing.
And May, the crosshair is off center. And now, just Jinbuk, 10 HP for himself. See if he can do any additional damage here in this round. Seems relatively unlikely as Global Esports starting to really run away with this opening half. 5-2 about to be the scoreline.
Yeah, for sure. This is a rough map. The one time we saw it for DFM, they squared up against Gen G. Not gonna quite catch the timing there as Crystal. Jinbuk gonna keep sliding away, trying to save this gun as best as he can, and GE knows it.
He is utterly surrounded though. Crystal now down here on the site. Jinbong just trying to stay as quiet as he possibly can. Oh, I think he spotted a pixel though. He has no idea. The Crystal's forward, but Crystal jumps up onto the box. Will not be able to stabilize the aim fast enough, but now there's blood in the water. The Sharks getting ready to surround as Jinbong about to push out over towards Mount Poppy. The noise being heard, and he cannot find that opening shot. So Poppy cleans it up. 2 players lost on the side of GE, but plenty of cash behind. Start really racking it up. Now it's a lead of 3 rounds, and it looks like DFM will be calling the first timeout of stage 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think this makes a lot of sense. To me, this feels like the protocols of DFM are starting to fall apart a little bit. They're getting flashed up. They're getting stuck by the baby door. And then when Art TPs forward, there's nobody there to cover those angles to kind of watch the extra space that he's giving up by hiding inside of his own smoke. So there seems to be some problems, some disorganization from DFM. Going to need to try to work that out. On the other side of things, GE looks really clean. They're starting to kind of shake off some of that rust we saw in the few opening rounds since then. They've looked really nice. They're crisp. Their shots are hitting. They're playing together as a team very nicely. They're kind of keeping DFM guessing, other than maybe that last round where it was just a fight over rubble control. But I'm pretty impressed so far, especially Patrick Hu. He's hit some really good openers. Now, it's been some good setups from the breach, but still, gotta like what you're seeing.
Yeah, and I think that was the big curiosity for a lot of people, was how quickly integrated can Patrick Hu get. Obviously was the original 5-man, the 5th man, the one that they wanted to have in that duelist position from the very outset. Did get bogged up, but was able to have visa stuff sorted out coming into the stage. But was it going to be enough time? Would they get enough practice? Would things click immediately for the team? So far here on the attack, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really impressed. And it's going to be Sheriffs for the side of DFM.
Oh, Art. I mean, this is
mad.
Read like
This
a book
is
now.
madness.
They know exactly where he's at. It was a solid idea. The problem was they saw you the whole time.
Yeah. It's like one of those plays where if they don't go that way, you're going to get that extra step ahead of them maybe to try to get a quick flank. But
that would have been great if all of Global Esports were blind.
yes. Turns out pretty hard to play Valorant.
Yeah.
If you're blind.
Should have just, you need to have the assistant coach run over and unplug the monitors real quick before the round starts. There's May, though.
Well,
fantastic headshot.
May is May. One of the best. I think there was that stat that if he gets over a certain amount of kills, like DFM just wins.
It's 17.
Is it 17? Is that what it was?
I believe so.
I mean, makes sense. But a change up here in the Vice Wall could catch GE a bit off guard. Yudotan did get a spot on it and pops it. They're just going to pivot in towards B. The pit was used by GN over at C.
30 seconds left.
So he's going to be able to kind of lurk his way out of there, but pretty easy to read for GE, you would think. See what they want to do.
Push up through upper, though.
Yeah.
Jinbong still checking down towards stairs now. Sights being turned back over into this direction. Yudotan fading away, spots out that shoulder. Jinbong locked in position here for the moment. Second shot from Crystal will connect. Jin going to be taken down. It's Jinbong. Oh my God, desperately needed the breakthrough there. That shot was just instantaneous, however. And May getting timing a bit. Kelly from behind will be able to find that kill. So attempt at a thrifty, some nice shots in the mix, but timeout call. It's going to be for the setup here on this round.
Really enjoying the way that GE is also integrating the Outlaw into some of these rounds. Like, we've been seeing them pick it up against the Ecos to really not give DFM many options, many chances. If you're just holding those angles, watching it, it's going to be real tough to get that Sheriff shot to go. May is going to grab an operator, though. Still sitting on a showstopper for, what is that, 3-4 rounds now?
It's been quite some time, and I thought it was going to be something we saw invested in the previous round, given that they also went for the pit. But not to be seen. Spot out there on the Jinbong Poppy, going to be being all the way here, well into the back, and Patrick Hu as well, just jumping out. Finds May with a shorty in hand. Crystal sends out the Armageddon. Jinbong absolutely obliterated. Jin just held in a position to flash across. Patrick Hu on the swing.
You got to
Comes
save.
up with a kill. I mean, yeah, DFM immediately have to save. The execution here from Global just far too clean. Everyone from DFM on this C site getting caught off guard. It seems like the timeout in the end not going to lead to a round win.
Yeah, and you can see GE here adapting to a lot of the meta that we saw in Masters and in some of the later stages of kickoff with, you know, the Breach Taeho, but also the Yoru. The Yoru is a huge part of this. You can get that ult, you can identify where Mei is, you can then call in Crystal's Armageddon right on top of the majority of DFM. Akame and Art, okay, gonna get a couple. Not gonna drop the guns just yet.
I mean, but in the end, you just need to hold on to these. Nothing else to play for other than their lives. Ults are online. Global obviously have a hell of a bank. As Akame looks to try to hold the door, Art will be able to find that second kill. Poppy on the chase. TP across, back into the A lobby. And in the end, Art will be the lone survivor, but Global Esports now up 7-2.
Yeah, and Global Esports is doing a lot of things really well, and DFM is not. In terms of, frankly, the way that they're cycling their ults, the way that they're combining some of their util and things like that, whereas it doesn't feel like DFM has like any kind of comfort with when they want to use the pit or the showstopper or some of their ults to kind of try to turn around, try to get something going. Instead, they're the ones playing on the back foot. GE, of course, it's the attacker side on Lotus. I get it. It is generally the stronger side of the map, but I'm not seeing some of the ideas and adaptations from DFM that you would like to see. And it's like they're trying to hide the showstopper for like a big moment instead of just maybe using it to take rubble control, change the map a little bit.
Now you've got a second breach ult built up here from Kelly S. As everyone stood up around this A site. Could be a pivot in towards B where it's just Akame for the moment by himself. Looks like Global going to look to try to explore this space here, make sure that it's going to be cleared out. Maybe even cause distraction for the rest of the team as they get ready to attack.
I mean, Akame's in a difficult position, potentially. A pinch being set up here by GE towards B.
Based on the first, he's able to find Crystal. Thinks about the Prowler. And maybe a potential timing here as Poppy is able to find one. Akame on the reswing, able to go ahead. Picks him off. Checks for a little bit more. Haunt now destroyed. As the showstopper into the corner, gets the spot out. Yutan going to be blown to smithereens. In shell down onto the site. Akame with a re-peek back in from main. Will be able to clean it up. DFM, at long last, will break the win streak as they get themselves a third round victory.
Yeah, this time around, the timing there, I thought Akame might be just screwed. But instead, him and Art are able to find that timing to get ahead of the crunch attempt by GE. Find a couple big kills. Got the Nightfall online, threw it out there. Art doesn't get the immediate trade off that Nightfall, but that's okay. Akame's good for it. Now you can finally use that showstopper, clear the corner, paint shells to clear the site. And then that is going to be a much needed round win. If you can make this 7-5, that's okay for DFM, honestly. If they can win these next couple, okay, you drop 7 in a row, big deal. It was defender side of Lotus. Definitely recoverable. A lot of attention now. Using the drone, clear B, TP in as well.
Double TP forward once again this time. Gian not in a position to go for the transfer shots. Art, however, just trying to scale up through the wall. Pushes forward. I mean, it's just a shooting gallery, one by one. They just give line of sight over, and Global just hit every single target.
Spike planted.
Yeah, it just felt like trying to get ahead of the curve a little bit was DFM.
Trying to catch him off guard with some of these timings, perhaps. Either way, though, the pinch is there. Yutan breaks through the door, gives him the bad news. Akame falls.
Last round before the
Global
switch.
now look for a 9-3 scoreline at the half.
Yeah, and some of these ideas that GE are implementing are very reminiscent of some of the stuff we saw from DRX at Masters. Some of these double TPs, aggressive positioning towards sight. Kind of keeping DFM a little bit off balance. Nice paranoia there to make sure that no more further damage can be done. But yeah, the tempo changes from GE, really nice. And again, you're gonna have an operator and an outlaw. A lot of variation in what GE can bring to the table. A couple of the players do have full armor for the side of DFM, a judge for GN and a judge for Art.
And Yutan,
jeez,
is able to find the shot. Art a bit too slow now. That neural theft once again telling all. Pivot getting ready to come through. Looks like DFM does have the right read. They're starting to go for the pivot back over to A, but then they rethink it. Who's next? Double peek back in from Waterfall slows up the reapproach here from GN, who would love to be in position a bit faster, given that he just has a judge. Excuse me.
I don't know if like an elbow stuck through that smoke or something.
I know your name stands for guided missile, but guided bullets is, that's just unfair. Akame doing his damnedest, is able to find a second. Gives them an opportunity, but Crystal's still here. Both players pushing in from his angle. Drone gonna be sent out. Akame trying to keep them all held at bay. But there's the Rolling Thunder. Akame has fallen. Right now it just feels like Jin has no hope in hell. Both players just stuck back at tree. The time is ticking away. Just no real opportunity. Trying to make a go of this one. A triple face finds the first and will end up falling. 9-3 at the half. Global Esports very much answering all the questions we had about the integration of the roster and how they would be looking. Things look pretty damn clean.
Yeah, it's great coordination. It's good ideas. You know, some good sniping, knowing when to implement the outlaw. A lot of just kind of ahead of the curve of DFM. The comp as well, really impressive. It just seemed like DFM was getting caught out by utility or getting out-thought in the idea department, out kind of alt-scaled, out alt-rotated, you know what I mean? Like, it's just everything was just going GE's way, and they were finding a lot more impact in just about every aspect.
So I was just caught off guard.
Alt cycle, that's the word I wanted.
There you go.
Yeah.
Caught off guard by the music here for a bit. Sounds like we're in a early 2000s like knockoff Matrix style film.
Yeah.
Shots of the action hero walking down a sidewalk or something like that after he just killed a bad guy.
It kind of does, yeah, a little bit, yeah. I could, if they would throw this in the Matrix soundtrack, I wouldn't be shocked, yeah. Or like, what was that Christian Bale movie?
Oh no.
Do you remember it?
Called like Ballistic or something like that?
No.
Which Christian Bale movie?
The one where he's like got like the guns and he's like doing all this like martial art gun stuff. Do you remember that?
I know exactly what.
They like had like the white like trench coat or whatever. What was that called? It's kind of
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. There it is. It's kind of a weird movie. But
I thought it, but I'll admit I did look it up just to make sure that I was correct.
yeah. Anyway. I mean, I'm concerned. Like, the first couple of rounds, I'm like, man, DFM, they look well drilled. They're playing off of each other nicely. There's some good util. And then it all just went out the window.
All right, well, pistol round at the opener went the way of DFM, but Art, just as we jump into the action, dead immediately. We'll be calling here from beyond the grave.
I mean, they're still trying to take that space. Jinbung trying to create some attention towards the other side of the map, but to me, DFM is looking like they're not exactly sure where to go. Ooh, Udotan had a chance. Went for that moment after getting the tag with his util and thought, see if I can catch him a little bit off guard, but Jinbung there lucky to get away with his life, in my opinion. They're going to try to go this way. I don't think they've...
They have no information about Poppy.
Exactly. They pinged the spot, but do they think that's where Udotan went?
Now, Udotan, on the third attempt, we'll be able to find it. Jinbung going to be taken down. 2 players lost. Some decent damage onto the lineup here of Global, but elimination still not quite yet in their hands until May manages to find Patrick Hu. A site opened up a bit.
This tripwire.
Time, starting to dwindle. This trip is going to be cleared. May pushing his way through, but Crystal on that peak, finding one. Jin going to be taken down. Akame does get into a position to go for the plant. May is instantaneous with that headshot. Poppy, however, arriving, interrupts the spike plant. It's now just stranded here on the floor. 12 seconds remaining. It's May, sends out the paint shield, try to buy himself some space. Gets drawn off of the plant. Challenges in for a fight, but he's just out of time.
Player standing.
He'll find the kill. But surely, yep, it is just too late. Off by a hair. Global Esports just steal away the pistol round.
But again, it just feels like DFM is a bit lost. The coordination, I mean, the call is to spread the map, but really they're lost on the positioning of where GE might be, you know, almost getting caught out trying to go for an orb. And then when you push into the site, you're not expecting 2 to be there. You kind of just read that it'd be a solo hold from Udotan. You know, you're only showing the Vice yourself, so you're just kind of like, okay, it's lurk player versus lurk player. You know, let's see what we can get done. Let's see if we can catch him off guard, but GE not fooled in the slightest. You know,
see the buy down.
Yeah.
Still not even overly strong. May able to get himself a Guardian, the full armor there. Otherwise, 2 Stingers, 2 Sheriffs. And Art's going to be glass cannon. Not much of a cannon, I suppose. It's a Stinger.
it's a mini cannon. I mean, in the hands of, you know, G2, kind of a cannon.
Oh, sure. They play a very different game.
Yeah, their Stingers hit different for sure. But just a walkabout behind the toxic screen. Kind of that classic one you'll see that cuts up towards A site. But all the Cypher util is here, kind of slow things up. And you just got a huge stealth drone over at C, past mound, almost into spawn for GE. They know full well that this is A.
Kalias already here. Gonna guide them to an 11th round win. Haunt does get a reveal. Patrick Hu, noted by that, is Art pushing forward, goes for it. Swinging on the corner though, but it's just far too slow. And Patrick Hu backs across, finding him, now spraying wildly into the smoke. And one by one, they shall fall. Yutan is coming away with these eliminations. 2 remaining players absolutely tagged up. Akame has been doing well to find some frags, but it's just not going to be enough. GE now up to 11. DFM once again broke.
Yeah, and it's just, again, GE winning in so many different ways. In this modern composition, they're playing it extremely well. Disrespecting the util a little bit there, getting the info. That's a huge advantage in these compositions as well that GE is really abusing. You know, for DFM, it's a lot of trying to obscure where you're going. You're trying to use this double controller comp to keep GE guessing, whereas GE has a lot of tools to deal with that. They've got the drone, they've got the Cypher util, so they can get ahead of the curve. And DFM has not found great answers. The Teho utility is so oppressive to control space as well. Not just with the stealth drone, but obviously with the salvos. You know, and then you see it where DFM's stuck in these bad spots. They can use salvos to flush them out, get the kills. Really well thought out, really well prepared are GE for this map.
The util exchange outside of C, but everyone unscathed here for the moment. Once again, trying to scale forward over towards this A site a bit is DFM. Camera just behind the box, Poppy out wide, ensuring that there's no one working their way over towards this C site.
I'm not sure how much that camera can see.
Salvo's now back online. The drone's lead. Crystal getting a spot there. Jinbung just going to be bouncing away. Kame looking like he may be sticking around for a little bit longer, but eventually the call will be to pivot. Everyone, the full forces of DFM getting gathered up here, ready to attack onto the A site.
Might be a pivot towards B if they can break through, but isn't that aftershock to slow them down?
You at least want to try to fake the pivot here. Patrick Hu now for the moment alone on the site, now dead. Swing out Yutan looking for a little bit more and does nearly find himself a second elimination there. Shot through, looking for Jinbung, trying to fish him out through that wall, but can't quite find it. Spike is planted, Salvo's too late to get the interrupt, and Art now a deep flank around the back, just that Sheriff in hand though. See if this plan comes to fruition. We'll be going down through the stairs. Should be able to catch a timing here on to Kelly S. The shots are noted. Now he strikes. Bulldog picked up, but it looks like DFM a little bit more fight left in them. As the time is just not going to be on Global's side. Tap of the spike defuse, just trying to see what they can bait out any peaks here. But in the end, DFM just not really giving them anything to work with. So GE, 2 players will save. DFM will hang around here on Lotus for a little bit longer at least.
Yeah, this round, some good calling from Art and DFM. Able to kind of push forward, kind of take their time, keep GE guessing a little bit, show some thought about setting up that B crunch. But it was actually all just trying to open up a little bit of extra space towards A. DFM's able to capitalize on it pretty quick there. May on point with the Guardian. DFM fans over in Japan cheering them on, hoping that they can string some rounds together, maybe get a little bit of confidence at the very least. GE, though, able to mostly buy up here. Still Guardian held over.
I think there's some hope.
Absolutely.
Bring a couple rounds together, extend this map a little bit longer. The analyst has just walked back in and sat down, so that means that now they will have to, you know, wait for 20 plus minutes for their segment to start up.
Overtime, please.
Would be a hell of a turnaround here.
Maze one away from a showstopper. This could funnel this orb to him. Again, it's more about confidence at this point for DFM. Sure, of course, if you were able to run it back and get a win, that'd be great, but that's very, very difficult no matter who you are. And just getting those rounds, you know, we saw it with T1 where you get blown out of the first map. Sometimes just those few extra rounds at the end will kind of carry over into the next map. They did get the orb. Okay, they do have the showstopper for May. So can at least clear space that way. You can see B site left completely open, trying to set up a bit of a fake towards C. A lot of util sent that way. The GE's already there, so.
Thorn's Throne destroyed. Thorn's Throne destroyed. May be slowed up here.
30 seconds left.
None of Global going to be nearby, immediately evacuating as soon as they hear the showstopper draw out. Checks the close corner. Crystal at the same time, able to find one as Kame going to be taken down. Swing on to the corner, but now default plant coming through DFM.
Oh.
Spike in play. Kelly's lurking around the back. Art once again trying to go for this lurk timing here. Flash not going to connect. They look to double face. Now he knows that he's in a bit of a bad situation, but cannot run away. Faces back in. Ends up along the wayside. A little bit of damage there onto the enemy breach, but kill cannot be found. GN flashed up, tucks back. The salvos flying towards him. Looks for a little bit more. May with covering fire. Helps to try to keep him alive. Fault line going to be flying out. And they're all lined up as Kelly S will pick up a 3K and get Global up to map point.
Yeah, and this is really good stuff from Kelly S and GE. Quickly identifying that Art was going to be lurking somewhere, and they're really diligent about making sure that he's dealt with, because he was hiding over towards C lobby, and they were already kind of thinking about pushing in towards pillars. Yeah, it do be like that sometimes. But I really want to give a lot of credit to the immediate adjustment here, and that shows a lot of great preparation, great understanding, on the fly thinking, and it's going to be another final timeout, I'm assuming from DFM, to try to see if they can get some more rounds, get something going here on Lotus, but it's tough.
Very much so. A few round wins that we've had from DFM, very much separated. Nothing really consecutive aside from the start of the series, that pistol into the anti-eco. Should be a very calm, cool, and collected little chat here from the side of Global Esports. Finally just telling them, keep up the good work.
Patrick, who's having fun? First time on the stage, and they're having a roaring start. Gotta like what you're seeing. A lot of laughs. Obviously, joining a couple other Filipino players on the squad, and they are immediately clicking here against one of the hopefuls of Japan. Trying to find a way, like you saw it in the intro video before the game started today, that, you know, DFM knows, they're cognizant of the fact that a Japanese team hasn't made a Masters in a very long time.
Yeah.
They want to try to change that, but this is not the start they were looking for sure.
Certainly not. I mean, you already highlighted how important it is, given the group find themselves in. Whichever team is able to find the victory here in this set, it's going to be a very big boon for them moving forward. Taunts fishing here for some wallbang shots. Jinbong, however, managing to get up on top of the box. Lude's taking damage and comes away with that elimination. So C-Site for now in control here for DFM. Have the spike plant. They look for a little bit more. Nightfall's going to be sent out over towards Waterfall at the same time. Patrick Koo puts a mask on, goes sprinting forward, identifying two players over towards this water bend. Paranoia crashing across. Gian, however, will win out the fight. The flank is noted, but he still comes away with that kill. Patrick good for one, now a 4v2. Salvo sent to just buy a little bit more time, but with 45 seconds remaining on the clock, and GN still backstabbing. This round is not going to be going the way of Global Esports. It seems this time for DFM, barring a miracle from Poppy, something that he has delivered in the past. It should be DFM clinging to life. Slow push forward, finds that first. And he got the transfer onto Akame. You start believing, but still some losses suffered. The money's not in a good spot for DFM, but they critically get the round win.
Yeah, they're able to win a huge opening duel there, not suffering any casualties. And GN, this is really important stuff that he's winning these flank battles. Kind of a little Munchkin-esque there from GN, playing the Viper on Lotus, holding that flank. Because if he gives over that kill to Kelly S gets the Rolling Thunder, and that could be a very different round very quickly. And you can see there that trying to use that Yoru ult to set up for that retake. If you could find that one kill, get another ult going, just end the map right then and there. But DFM's GN comes up big, keeping the B site lurk under control. This time around, he's going to be leading the charge towards A, and
Well, DFM,
they've seen enough. DFM's like, yeah, we're not going to contest the C side this time.
they've solved the riddle. Managed to drift over towards the correct side of the map, so no util, no nothing here for Global on this A site. There's going to be at least, by the looks of it, a 4-man push through that A lobby side.
Just a smoke and some salvos were enough for DFM to try something different.
The thing is, though, Global Esports, if they get any kind of advantages, they'll be more than willing to pull the trigger on these ultimates. And it's not a full push across the wall. Players still going to be locked out here for the moment.
It's a good read for DFM. They're going to avoid a lot of that util.
Paranoia dodged out there by Jinbung, just able to drift away from it. Push getting ready to come through. Oh, right before the flash connects, Gian. Taking Patrick Hu's head clean off the re-swing out here, and that's just going to be them lining up. 3 kills here for the side of Jinbung. Kellyes all on his lonesome. Looking back over here towards stairs. Eventually will fall. Flawless round for DFM. Much needed. As it's 6 to go, 6 tries for Global Esports to bring this map to a conclusion.
Yeah, and again, this is about confidence here for the side of DFM, and some good reads from Art in the last couple of rounds. This one, again, the only util that was used off the rip by GE was a smoke in the salvos, and that was enough to kind of let them feel a bit more confident. Obviously GN not receiving any contact, any resistance at all on the A side at Rubble also made it a little bit easier. Kind of lean towards that direction, going up against that eco. This time, though, the Rubble control will be contested. Art,
absolute lunatic.
Yep.
TP's forward, he's here within the smoke. Kellyes just watching, waiting for the exit. It's like Art wanting to just try to wait and see where to dissipate, but the timing, the bait on the Prowler is actually gorgeous. Very well set up. Kellyes on the floor once again. That Rolling Thunder not going to be utilized here in the round.
There's method to the madness for Art this time. Great combo again. Reminiscent of some of what we were seeing early on for DFM. And a bit of a spread now for GE, but they're really leaning towards B. They seem to feel pretty confident because Yudotan has been watching Mound and hasn't really seen much. They can lean in this direction. Poppy right around the corner, gets identified.
And jump forward here, May, despite being caught up in the tripwire, still able to find a shot. Crystal finding it, the trade there, but Jinbung is catching Yudotan on a bit of a linger. Dead at the door switch. There's now the C site wide open. And for Patrick Hu and Crystal, there is no other recourse but to sit back and save.
Yep, 100%. Nothing else to do there. Yeah, a couple just kind of wild plays from DFM. The early TP from Art. Getting Akame to come and help. Getting that kill. And then May just sending it in for the cause there. Gets another kill, and that's enough to break open enough space on the map to get the plants, and you win the fight towards C Mound. Good to go. So DFM starting to kind of work the map a little bit, starting to get some good reads on this GE defensive setup. Gotta wonder if, sitting on 2 timeouts, you might as well pull the ripcord on one of them.
Yeah, about to go into, 2 rifles. We'll see if anybody else really puts any impact behind their purchases, but just 2 rifles carried over. The rest going to be on a bit of an eco here. See if they opt to go forward right here, right now, or if they maybe delay, wait for another full purchase. Either way, I don't think that they would mind it too much. DFM now winning 3 in a row off the back of their own timeout, but it seems like the timer is going to continue to tick down.
Okay. Showing some trust. I mean, in general, I've been super impressed with Kellyes on this map. The way that he is calling for GE has been really, really good. He has mostly been ahead of the curve. So
I also want the team to be able to make these pivots and, suss things out on their own.
That's true. Especially now that you've got a new player coming in, you want to get them comfortable with each other, being able to communicate in the heat of the moment. 100%, I like it. Oh boy.
Looking for a bit of a crunch play here. 3 players still on the approach from Mound. Jan some shots through the smoke to just try to fish for anything that he can get. Flash, however, does connect. Patrick Hu able to find one. Crystal finds another. Poppy with a headshot onto Art, and suddenly the round starts getting away from him. Rolling Thunder gonna be dodged out, but the spike is absolutely stranded. So deep into the spawn. And this is noted for DFM. Is this how it ends? Is this how this map comes to its conclusion?
Well, you got to send Jinbung trying to create that flank angle so you can actually get to this spike. Poppy so aware of it, already holding. And there's still some time. GE doesn't need to move a muscle, just need to hold their angles, and instead they're going to double up on this B push. Try to see if they can take Poppy out.
Starting to make some noise here. Jinbung eating a bit of damage. Kelly has 5 HP, but on this deep line of sight angle, as the swing out is good, and just like that, Global Esports will show why they did not need the timeout. A crunch play that goes sideways for DFM. 13-7 is the closeout as Global Esports win their map pick of Lotus.
Yeah, a lot to love here from Global Esports. The composition with the agents looking really cool. They've got some great ideas with some of the combos with the ultimates and the utility and those kind of things. Some great play calling. Patrick Hu came out, had some really impactful first kills for them. That's exactly what you need out of your duelist. Comes in, doesn't look like it mattered too much that he wasn't there for kickoff. Seems like they're integrating him very nicely. DFM, on the other hand, looked good at the very beginning. After that, it was very rough sledding the rest of the way through. Not many rounds where they're really able to get their feet underneath them, get a good read on what Global Esports is trying to do.
A bit of a rough center of the map here for the side of DFM. It started off so very well. I mean, Jian still leveled up performance. Kame, I think a decent shout out given how he was fragging the whole way through, even with the team's struggles. For DFM, Aiden kind of stroked this one off. Second time they played Lotus this year. Second loss that they do suffer. They have their own map pick of Pearl coming up, and the last time they played it, 13-1 is how they bested Paper Rex. Will that happen versus Global Esports? I don't think that degree, that severity of lightning is going to strike twice on the same map. But they're feeling confident, they're feeling comfortable when it comes down to that pick. And we'll have to see if that is going to be enough to deliver us that map 3 of Split.
Yeah, not everybody's EDG where you can 13-0 on a map twice in a row, but for sure, you would expect DFM to be able to bounce back on their map pick and kind of get things righted.
Well, we shall see, but for now, we will pass things back over to the analyst desk here in a moment to get their thoughts. Let's break down from the side of Lotus. We'll go ahead and send it back over to Victoria and the boys.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. 13-7 on Lotus. DFM tried their darndest to turn things around, but I have to say this is a really great start, really great showing for stage 1 by Global Esports.
Yeah, for sure. I think they came in with a good game plan. You think back to GE in kickoff, you know, they had to play with a stand-in. Things were very disjointed. They didn't even look like they knew how to play some of the maps in the pool. This one included with kind of a weird comp that they brought into kickoff. This time we see their team as they originally envisioned it. They all played well across the board. They had a good game plan. They had an execution-based comp that they used to force and oppress their will upon a DFM who looked completely unprepared for it.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by DFM a little bit. I feel like GE were playing the Breach Teo very much as we would expect.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like DFM were never able to counter it. It kind of looked like they'd never seen Breach Teo before.
They didn't look like they knew what the comp did, really. Like, they were getting flashed through that A wall, like the most default flashpoint that you've seen from Breach. And you have to say, like, this is not an uncommon comp, guys. Like, the core of this comp, the Omen Cypher Breach, is a combo that you've seen for a long time. You used to see it in combination with like a Fade Raze or something like that. Obviously, Teo Yoru is a bit of a different flavor and maybe speaks to the current meta of the interaction of the Yoru with the popularity of Vice on this map, for example. But yeah, DFM, they just looked really, really flat. And compared, I guess I already compared with GE with themselves in kickoff. But DFM, remember how free flow and well prepared, and they had good game plans and they were playing off each other so well in kickoff when things were going well. That was about as far away from that as possible. That was back to 1 or 2 players on DFM show some promise, but overall the macro is a bit confused and the players are not delivering well across the board.
Yeah, I mean, if you're DFM in that back room, you're just going, it was a warm-up map, guys. It was a warm-up map. We got that towards the end. We're fine. Let's look ahead to Pearl. That kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, They did look a little sleepy. I think, as you
sure.
boys were saying, Pilsky especially, it did not look like the kickoff DFM, this fiery DFM that looked really scary. And now, Morgan, take us through this.
Yeah, this is the Breach Teo stuff. It's very, very strong towards A. We saw it again and again. I felt like G, at the start of the rounds, they're using that reusable util, the Teo missiles, the Breach stun. They're able to take that space with Yoru, with Omen, and they just kind of recycled this again and again and again across all areas of the map. They had lots of ideas. But this A fight, it just felt like they couldn't lose it. And, you know, we spoke about this time and time again. This A fight is so important, and DFM had no answers in that area of the map.
Not even just like the Teo Breach util, you've got individuals just running out and winning duels.
Patrick
dry
Hu just
with, like,
swinging.
not even necessarily with a flashpoint. He's just swinging out and one-tapping someone, and it's like, as DFM, you got to be on top of that. Like, they're not doing anything outrageous. It's not like they've brought some crazy new meta strat or anything like that. It's either dry peaks or it's, as you mentioned, fault lines, flashpoints in combination with silos to push and pull you around. But that is the common meta at the moment. Like, Breach Teo might be one of the most common combos that you're going to play against. So the fact that you're just getting bullied by that is not acceptable at this level, I don't think.
Yeah, I will say, I do think it feels like a very nice fit for GE. I feel like they very much understood how to play that kind of style. I think it worked very well for them. They had a range of different ideas that was executed well. So I'd like to see them lean on that style a little bit more through their other maps, and hopefully Pearl.
I think as well, I'm more and more impressed by Kelly S the more I see him play. It's not a player that I expected much from, but I remember the split map that you saw. I mean, he's the MVP here. His breach play was great. Like, he was directing the flow of traffic well with his util, setting up his other players for success, but he's also got some pretty good multi-fragging skills, and he's not afraid to get involved in the action. You know, he's not just that AFK breach who's licking a wall, holding his fault line out. Like, he's actually getting involved and multi-fragging and having some impact, and I've seen a fair few GE games, not the initial games at the start of kickoff where you had some individuals where I was like, oh my god, Yudatan's unbelievable, Papi's clutching every round. But later on, especially in the tougher games, in the game that they lost, I remember that split game that they lost against DFM.
Yeah.
I think Kelly S is one of those players that I see him get involved in the mid-round, get active, and have some impact and multi-frag from the IGL position.
I think that's a fantastic point. Kelly S, of course, is doing a lot of the calling and a lot of great calling. Yes, DFM weren't looking their best, but I'm pretty sure a lot of those calls were capitalizing on exactly that. Just keep hitting A. They have not figured it out, and they're just looking a lot better, a lot more complete. I think we saw glimpses of this, like you said earlier on in kickoff. I don't know if it's simply the addition of their original roster being in its full force, or if it's something else that they've been working on in the outseason.
Would you say that might be a bit of a copy-paste approach from the GE coaching staff, perhaps, that they're just continuing to go A over and over again? You know, not crazy original ideas, perhaps.
No, for real, I like that.
I mean, you don't need it. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is great now.
Rate.
And now going into Pearl as our second map with DFM. As Achilles had mentioned, the last time we saw DFM play on Pearl, it was a 13-1 against PaperX of all teams. So this is very promising for DFM, but based on what we just saw, based on what we saw from Global Esports, I don't think this is going to be the same scoreline coming in for this second attempt at Pearl.
The thing I want to say about DFM is that was a fantastic game against PaperX, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I've never seen PaperX look so lifeless, and the game before that was the complete opposite from DFM.
Yeah,
like, the
that's the big
consistency
thing.
on this map is not really there. They went from playing that ISO Yoru comp that I did not think was good to actually going into what you see in the second comp. That was the more recent one with the Teo KO that looked really, really good against PRX. So we'll see what they prepared here on Pearl, but, you know, they've been a bit up and down, and you can see GE, they've got a dub on this map. They've played it a little bit.
Also, I think with DFM, like, when they managed to beat PaperX in that dominant fashion, they just won map 1 before that, right? They suddenly had all the cards. They were able to play with all the confidence, but now the shoe's on the other foot. They just kind of got slapped on map 1. So being able to bounce back is very important, but I wouldn't expect that kind of dominant scoreline. But again, they've picked this map for a reason. We have to believe that they have ideas. I'm curious to see if they're going to change that composition or not.
You're going to see GE shuffle something again, because a lot of this is kickoff data. They've changed roles. They're probably going to change up the comps a little bit, as you already saw on Lotus. So you're not really sure what exactly you're going to expect from them, at least looking at the officials. I'm sure that, you know, DFM is going to have some idea from what they've been playing in practice and all of that kind of stuff. But I totally agree. I think for DFM, that free flow game that you got from kickoff is not how they stepped into this game. They've looked very slow, very sleepy today, and I already said it earlier in the pre-show. This is the game that these two teams need to win against each other to make the rest of the group go well. If you just have a slow start to kickoff and DFM is forced to try to make some upsets happen against some of the more difficult teams in the group, they might not be going to playoffs, guys. After a really nice performance, 5th, 6th over in kickoff, they might just go straight back to where they were.
Yeah, fantastic point. This is a very critical first match of stage 1 for that exact reason. This is going to carve the rest of your pathway over the next 2 months. And you guys put them, you put Global Esports, DFM kind of close together, almost in the A-B range here. Does anything change here, or do you think DFM might be waking up? Do you want to give them a second chance?
I mean, the series isn't over. We can't move them before the series is over. I mean, my advice to DFM right now is wake up, guys. Come on, adapt. Stop playing the Valorant, guys.
Wake
up.
They already know. Like, that's exactly what they're saying. Like, we've all had games like where you you're in the coach position and you're watching your team go through the motions. That is exactly what that was from DFM, and it's a really frustrating thing when it happens.
Yeah, I felt like they weren't adapting at all in that first map. I felt like GE used their ideas again and again and again, and just DFM
Even when you went to the comms, like Akami made that big play, and then we got the player comms, and they were like, "Nice guys, yeah."
Where's the energy?
Against PRX, they're like, "Yeah, we're the best."
Stand up, throw your monitor, get involved. That's what I want to see.
Oh, don't throw your monitor. We do not need a tech pause. I don't want a tech pause. But you're right. We need that energy. The same energy that we saw them walk out on stage with.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they didn't have the blow-up toys this time, so I don't know.
Honestly, that throw your monitor comment reminded me of those, Insta posts where it's like, you don't want to go to work today? Just throw your monitor at the other team. They can't ask you to come. You do not have to work today. Here we go, though. DFM, they're going back to Yoru mixed in with a chamber. So they've changed quite a lot. It's going to be a multi-senti comp. It's going to be a little bit of a slower style that you've been seeing. You're going to have to rely a lot more on that Yoru for the entry power, but also playing a bit more of a pseudo init because they are just playing the Sova instead of like a double init style that's a bit more flexible.
Yeah, I mean, I think this chamber's obviously going to want to get the op out, right? That's a huge part of the game plan. GE don't have too much to force it off apart from that Sova, so they need to find answers there.
Well, let's see if DFM can stay in the game or if GE is going to get the 2-0 to start off stage 1. We're going to send it back to our casters, Achilleos and Paper then to take it away.
Thank you very much. Let's get ready to jump into Pearl. I think the one thing we can all agree on is, that 13-1 scoring line, not going to be something that DFM is likely able to achieve once again here versus Global Esports. But maybe, since we think that, they're not going to get that again, maybe they get 13-0.
Yeah.
That's on the cards, right?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about it
Very
if
possible.
it happens. I'm quite curious about DFM coming into this map because this is a very different comp from what they ran against Paper Rex when they 13-1 them. There's no Tejo in here, for example. The other thing is, this is G2's comp. This is literally the same comp that G2 uses on this map. And so you need to rely on players like Akame to do their best leaf impersonation, shut things down with that chamber, be really proactive on watching the flanks, taking mid control if they're going to try to mirror that in any way. Because that's something that G2 does super, super well with this composition, is they're really annoying on this attacker side, trying to lock down mid, and you can see GE's already trying to get ahead of it. There's a spot on the Patrick who, there's a flash waiting for Jinboong over towards mid, but they're already out of it.
Scaled quite far forward there in mid. Still able to back away. He's getting tagged up, avoids getting taken down here. A couple sheriff shots at Patrick, who is down so very low. 8 HP now remaining. Solid damage, but still an opportunity for Patrick to find some impact here in the round.
That's opened up the orb at the very least, though, for DFM. Now they're going to seemingly set up for the B crunch. Although GE has an okay read on this. Trying to play into the smoke, trying to catch DFM off guard, but they paused. They're waiting for the reinforcements. Good shot from May!
Finding himself all 3 players here on this B site.
Time to jump.
Knocks him to the floor. The rest of the team wraps around through the connector. Spike now planted. Just Yudotan and Poppy. Try to see if they can do some damage and turn this back into their favor, but a 2v5, quite a bit to ask. Even if it is from these 2 players. Yudotan, though, on the corner, snappy with the first shot. Doesn't manage to find Akame. Chamber on the floor. How much more do you look for before you call it quits and just look to try to die to the spike? Jinbung going to be noted here at Halls, just playing ring around the rosy, not wanting to give him the opportunity as Yodotan does get tagged up here. Jinbung able to go ahead and snap on, and May pushes forward past screens, gets himself a 4K, and DFM get another pistol round win.
It is really funny to me because this is G2's comp, and DFM is already kind of playing it like they do on this attacker side. They're very patient, they're very methodical. I mean, obviously it helps when May is just doing that. Pretty impactful stuff, but another thing that G2 does really well in this composition is they're really ready for trap plays. They're really ready for their opponents to try to catch them a bit off guard, and so is DFM. So tip of the cap, able to win another pistol round there. Going to be the outlaw for Akame.
Some mobile little recon. Intentional or not. It's cheeky to say the least. Nothing going to be noted there at A main. GE, similarly to what we were seeing on Lotus, just looking to very much play this death ball style. So 4 players clustered up on this A site. Poppy on his lonesome. Over here at B at Halls.
Yep, and that outlaw, so good on rounds like this about making sure that flanks are controlled. No kind of cheeky lurks are easily able to get through. And they're just going to keep marching forward towards B. May at the long side, waiting for any kind of contact. They're going to try to squeeze Poppy out. He's just going to slide back in towards the defender side tunnels. And yeah, should be kind of a patient play, I would think. Maybe Poppy tries to pop through, gets a couple shots in. Art's got the regen shield though. Now Poppy should just back out.
Yeah, just going to be forced away, down to 44. Your rotation's getting ready to come through. Akame able to find one. Yodotan going to be put down here by the outlaw. And Wiley, GE, likely just going to get clustered up and wait for this spike to go off.
Should be the play. And it's exactly how you drew it up here as DFM. Able to get some good value out of that outlaw and kind of force the issue in the next round for GE, but they didn't buy up. I don't think anybody bought anything.
No.
Just all classics, so.
Classics across the board.
Should have full armor.
Yeah, so Konami's going to be in a pretty stable spot here. Some maybe minor util investments there. You see Yodotan at 1600, but either way, spike will go off. DFM will flawlessly carry forward all of this weaponry as we get ready to go into their bonus round, and GE just going to go down to the spike.
All right, really curious now how the game plan opens up for DFM and what GE's responses are going to be. You know, you're basically forced into a position where you have to buy the full armors. That's the value of this outlaw. That's the value of the chamber on this map. One of the values is that you could put your opponents in economic odd situations. So what is GE going to be able to do? And you know, as DFM, you're going to want to play slow. You're going to want to play methodical with this double sentinel composition. Try to keep GE corralled and try to find that weak side of the map. Kame is trying to get ahead a little bit.
Oh, and the second shot connects. Kelly S. Lucky to be alive. Down to 10 HP. A little bit whiffy there on the start, but still some damage dealt. It looks like Kame considering scaling forward and looking for a little bit more.
GE there hiding their players, trying to keep DFM guessing.
Poppy the one trying to hold things down from Art, but shoulder's going to be spotted. It's a little tiny bit of damage through the box. So fake out goes his way. Ultimately, not going to be able to turn away from it, but takes the time to go into the astral form. Set up a little bit more util as the drone pushes forward into Art, but it's getting cleared out. They continue to disguise May behind that box. Nebula up, Art going for the bait out. The wall comes up, gets away scot-free. So far, DFM approaching this very methodically, very wisely. This was just a rotate as well from Patrick Huji. He just sprinted across to the B side. Right now, that Jet is not here trying to counteract. Still, though, 3 players trying to grind through here is push out of the smoke, and Poppy just doesn't know which way to look. Jinbung able to find 2 as Kelly has Poppy. Now, Crystal as well. all falling to the floor. A solid shot. Patrick who will find the hit there. But Jan around the back still on these lurks. Comes away with the kill, and Yurutan now with nothing more to be done. Just trips the wall. They'll know exactly where he's at. Not really in the spot to go hunting too deep, but this is going to be a bonus conversion. DFM looking absolutely fantastic thus far.
Yeah, and it's taking a lot of, you know, what G2 likes to do on this map and implementing it themselves very nicely. And you said it well, they're being methodical. They're working through all the util that GE is trying to set up. Getting through that, you know, there's a double sentinel on the other side of the map as well. It's a very different looking double sentinel because you have the KJ instead of the chamber. So you have to be extremely thoughtful because you can get caught out at a moment's notice by an alarm bot, or you walk over a nano that isn't checked. Things like that can all of a sudden change the destiny of a round. So you gotta like what you're seeing from DFM. They seem very ready, very well prepared to kind of dissect and surgically cut apart the defenses that Global Esports wants to put into place. Jinbung there doing a great job. He's been looking really good today.
All too casual to be able to come away with that 3K.
Keep them cornered.
Now just the one rifle carried over here, staying in the hands of Yurutan, it would seem. Sheriffs for everybody else. Couple half armor purchases, but Minakami is just like, well, I'm just gonna keep using this outlaw forever, I guess.
Yeah, it's so powerful if you can get some of these rounds going. If you can win that bonus, it makes it so difficult for your opponents. You know, yes, Yurutan is going to have the full armor, but nobody else will. Although, seems like DFM is realizing they left a little bit of space open. Better double check. Make sure that no one had pushed through towards shops. And they're just gonna keep kind of creeping their way forward, but this has allowed GE to get a pretty good read. They haven't had any kind of contact over on the A side, so they can quickly rotate all the way over. Gonna use that smoke to get even deeper, set a player into halls. Now, you do have that Yoru, so you do have the ability to kind of potentially throw the clone through, throw a flash through, try to clear out that hall's position.
Patrick who just spotted the recon, not getting cleared fast enough through the wall. Kill does come through. It's Kelly S. Tucking away, able to find two, and suddenly the round is absolutely shifted. GN will stabilize, finding another, but Kelly S with a third Sheriff shot. Thorn's thrown in, Akame sliding forward over towards screens, making some noise here, but now is all on his lonesome, just that outlaw. Try to keep him in it, but seems like good things for DFM do not come in fours. Is once again, it's 3 rounds in a row into a thrifty loss. Just like the way Lotus ended, Global Esports get themselves on the board.
And this is all about map control. And, you know, with an eco buy, things just kind of fall apart there for DFM, and they're just kind of not calming well, in my opinion, about those halls positions. And they fall apart because of it. And you're not using that Yoru util to clear that hall spot either. So kind of make it easy for Global Esports. You know, you're not anticipating that. And it really works a treat. So another good call, another good round for Kelly S. Was the MVP on map 1. Spot on to Patrick, who does have the operator. He's gonna challenge this. It is an operator as well for Akame. So Patrick, who I think not liking that he had got identified, didn't want to give them the opportunity to set up any kind of trickery there. Akame so far forward here towards Art. 2 players though right around this corner. A high-low setup for Crystal and Poppy.
Take flight.
Crystal there should get the spot.
Check, but they need to, okay, yeah, it doesn't actually check behind the box, but the shot from Akame does not connect either.
Teleport's ready.
Goes for a repeat, a little bit of a jiggle out now, teleport back across. The dimensional drift in from May, just scouting out the A site. Some information gathered. Do they read that he's tucked away here? Poppy scales forward up into that smoke, just sat there quietly. No one to flush him out. The wall still not broken here at A main. Things very much get slowed down, but Chien hits a hell of a shot on Crystal. Dead there at Flowers. Kelly S on the repeat. We'll find May. Gets the punish. Art going for this plant. Are they just timing him out of the smoke? Looks like the answer is going to be no, but they are able to find the follow-up off the back. The flash is so damn clean. And now it is all on Jinbung. He can only find one. Kelly S. 2 huge back-to-back rounds. as he nearly pulls off an ace and gets Global their second round win.
They're doing a great job here of keeping DFM guessing. And again, the diligence is sort of there for DFM, but they're not really being cognizant of another stacked smoke push out. You know, they were able to deal with it in the pistol round, but here in a different spot, they're just not quite ready. May gets caught a little bit off guard, but Kelly S is just all over the place. Great setup with the Vice Flash as well on that push out. Starting to feel like they can start turning this around. DFM having a rough go of it. Still have enough for another operator. But that is a stinger for Art. So they're gonna heavily invest. Try to keep that chamber firing. Even though Akame was whiffy on that opening shot.
Oh, but he hits the jiggle. Crystal trying to set up, trying to bait for Patrick, who had just silently slid in behind the box there at A main. But a very good shot. Putting the Sova down on the floor.
And how you can turn your attention to other parts of the map. You still have the Vice Wall to cover that angle if there is any kind of lurk out there. A lot of util to clear through here. The double Sentinels.
Looking for the flash out onto the push. This time Kelly S not going to be given the opportunity to go for the heroics of the previous two rounds. 3v5. It's DFM. Oh, shot going wide. A little bit too much movement there from Akame, but either way, covering fire from the rest of his teammates. They're able to find Yudotan. And that now puts Poppy and Patrick Hu in a bit of a difficult position. Do you really try to play for this one? You know that there's multiple players on the side of DFM that are dangerously close to some critical ultimates.
Spike plant.
The Cosmic Divide, the Hunter's Fury. And you have an operator in play. Patrick Hu does have a plethora of cash, but it seems like the call to save has been made. So DFM not going to be allowing for Global to tie things up quite just yet. Look at themselves a fourth round win.
Yeah, it's going to be really important that Akame is going to be impactful with those snipers. He's able to find that big opening first kill, not giving the opportunity for Patrick Hu to trade. Getting that jiggle peek kill, absolutely devastating for Global Esports. And you can see Global is always trying to set up these little tricks, these little traps, try to catch DFM off guard. Worked a couple rounds in a row, but this time around DFM going to get the better of them. Doing a great job being diligent with clearing the util. You know, another trap play set up with the flash outside of mid connector towards the doors. That's dealt with. So DFM this time around able to come through on the better end of it. Just kind of march their way forward towards the site. That's a big win.
Yeah, a bit more to cheer for there for the DFM fans over in Tokyo. As timeout call will come through here for Global Esports, their first of the series. See what the adjustments end up looking like.
Well, and I think you probably want to talk about some of the ults that you're going to have as GE here. You have the Vice ult, you have the Sova ult, so you've got some ability to play retake, or to maybe set up another kind of trap where you catch DFM on the execute. So you might want to talk about, okay, how are we going to use our util to try to get the information on, get the read on how we play the round. You know, if you can catch them at the right time, you can throw those couple of ults down, really keep DFM from being able to get a comfortable plant in, or just try to flush them out of a retake setup. But it's difficult, you know, with the Vice ult and with this composition that DFM is going to be running, if they could get a plant down on B or something like that, use those sniper rifles, it could be really, really tricky to try to get some value out of those situations. So a lot to consider, a lot to talk about as GE. They are going to have still have an operator of their own, still able to get the full buy going. Like you mentioned as well, there's some big ults that are almost in play for DFM as well. So could play for the orb. You can see that they're trying to buy a little bit of extra time and space. Get a really good confirmation. Art's going to a little bit of damage in the Razor Vines.
Nothing that he can't widely shrug off. Shock Dart looking for that follow-up Thorn, but a little bit deeper, more central to the site here.
And that, to me, again, signals that this is some kind of trap play to try to disrupt the plant, to try to disrupt the execute. They've got a couple players stacked, though. Another high-low setup, sort of, but drone actually
back, but no, it actually cut. Yeah, it does cut across over towards that B side.
Yep.
And instead, I mean, they just face forward. Crystal eats an immense amount of damage, but Art eating a little bit more. Takes the headshot there from Utaton, is able to find a kill. Hunter's Fury going to be gained in death. As Thorn's now going to be popped here, dissuading them from pushing forward onto the site.
I'd be very nervous about this if I'm DFM.
Flash out, the pace coming through, and Kelly S able to go ahead and collect two. Hunter's Fury now from Crystal, just hunting, trying to see what he can find, but he's now just down to Akame to see if he can deal a little bit more damage, make this a bit more costly for the side of Global Esports. Just that operator in hand hits the leg shot, anticipates a close angle, doesn't have the op out fast enough, tries to go for a flick, but inevitably will have to go ahead and rendezvous out to safety. The time will dwindle, and the timeout call from Global Esports will work a treat as they get themselves a third round win.
Yep, really like this timeout from Global Esports. Kind of similar ideas, but you know, you don't even have to use the Steel Garden from Kelly S because they just found a great timing on the execute to just get those kills. So you're still able to keep that in the back pocket to go up against this big ult cycle that DFM has coming into play. Potentially just really rip this half away from them. But you know, I'm kind of starting to get a little bit concerned here for DFM. They're not really kind of reading these trap plays on the A site when they go for it. And that's a couple times where it's just a swing out around that box and Kelly S finds a couple big kills while DFM is walking down that ramp from A-Link.
Jump across. Patrick Hu trying to look for it here. Shots both sides, both going to be going a little bit wide. Both getting away unscathed. Patrick Hu pulls back over towards Halls, maybe considering a little bit of a repeat, but looks like he'll opt to hold the safer angle. DFM though, no rotations, no thought of really playing around with A. They're just gonna go ahead and really look to storm their way forward into the B site before any kind of reinforcements can come through. Trigger gets pulled here on the ultimate. Weapons taken away from the side of DFM here for a brief little moment as Utaton trying to go up and over the top, but it's gonna be a shot there from Jinbung with the classic in hand. Go ahead and finish off the enemy KJ. Run Steel Garden now in play. No one gonna get caught by that. The Cosmic Divide as well gonna be exchanged on both sides, just absolutely dissecting the map, cutting it to pieces, and Kelly S trying to look for a timing, trying to catch them off guard. It's a falling to the wayside. He's in control now here in the hands of DFM, but shock dart at the feet. Decent damage found as May, flash going deep enough, and that's the last one that he has at the ready. But as the wall falls, it's gonna be Crystal who actually manages to find Kian and May. A 2v3, the drone not gonna be finding a damn thing. Star set up for the pull, the recon gonna be lobbed in. Quickly cleared as the spam fight begins. And Art wins it out. Another tap from Crystal. But there's just realistically no hope in hell. Would have to be an ace clutch. There's just not enough time for him. Even if he can get the eliminations, he cannot get the defuse. A team ace for DFM. Want to pop as they get a fifth round win. Once again, just not allowing for Global Esports to get a tied up scoreline.
Yeah, the patience is paying off for DFM again. Just sort of slowly but surely working these angles. Utaton goes for a timing play.
Tell me this. Yeah.
That's nasty. Crystal is, we know how good he can be. 3 kills in that round, but again, with that chamber, with the operator, with the deep post plant positions onto the site, really, really tough to deal with that, especially with the double sentinel composition. You know, a lot of times it's going to be hard to find those flank lurk angles. Patrick Hu, so aggressive, but the drone to clear.
A very smart drone. Poppy this time able to slide away, not taking any damage. As Patrick Hu just looking for yet another peek, really trying to limit test there. The tailwind available, but now has to back well off from the angles. As Utaton pushing forward, trusts that it's going to be a fake out.
I need a stop.
Fall for it. Patrick Hu now going to take a try his luck. Woo! Does manage to stabilize that shot. Looked like he was going to be off, but it's the hit. Jan now dead. Smokes taken away from DFM.
And you can see there setting up sneaky plays on both sides of the map.
All the walls there, and Art is completely trapped in with a spike dropped. Thorns now popped on the opposite side, and Callie S just staying tucked back. Reinforcements a world away, but it seems like he likes his odds. No one looking to really join in alongside him in this position. The spot out there, onto one player. Now look at the choice, try to flood and overwhelm. Elias still doing well to come away with another. Woo. Kame dead, May just taking the time, grabbing the orb, spike in hand. 19 seconds left on the clock. It's just going to be a save for the operator in all likelihood. Or maybe the call says, you know what, we don't need it. I do have a tour de force. Either way, Crystal will push forward and find the kill, and Global Esports continue to keep this absolutely neck and neck.
Yeah, and again, it's, you know, kind of a game of cat and mouse between these two teams. Whose trap plays can work better? And when you're able to find that opening pick as Patrick Hu, a really nice play, a really high tempo move there. Get up onto the screens, get the shot, and get out. To get that opening kill, send them over to the other side where there is not much information, and DFM doesn't check behind that box. They're pinging it right now on the map because they want to make sure that they don't fall for the same thing twice. There goes that chamber ult, like you were mentioning. Oh my god, dude.
He's starting to warm back up. Another fast peek and kill there for Patrick Hu. This time Jinbung on the floor, not necessarily as devastating as losing Jian. Given the util available.
That's a good spot.
So far, nothing really being allotted over to DFM. GE wanting them to have to really fight to gain any kind of information, any kind of space.
But they've got such a good read on this. There's a deep turret over on B. So that's allowing them to slide to the other side of the map. Kind of cover A a little bit heavier. Helps when you get the spot onto Akame as well. Or Art, excuse me. And things getting a little bit dicey. Crystal gonna get ahead of this wall. Are they gonna be ready?
Waiting for the timing. Spots up the first. Pulls the trigger, finds it. TP having to be taken there by May, but he's delivered right into Kelly's hands. Akame only able to find one. Art down to 5 HP. It's Global Esports this time. Looks like they will jump the hurdle to be able to tie things up in the map.
Yeah, with Yudotan still in connector. No time to shift to the other side of the map.
10 seconds left.
Might as well just be a save at this point. Grab a gun here for Akame. Sit and spawn and hide and wait this out. I think you need a timeout as DFM. Try to reassess some of what's going on. Maybe you've got one of those high tempo executes that you can try to dial in right now. Kind of turn things around. This is just, again, these trap plays. They're just not really reading the timings of when and where GE players can be when they can push out of those smokes. You know, you just don't anticipate it. And that's really been the name of the game, and the adaptations haven't really always been there for DFM. If they can win those opening kills, if they can win some of those opening fights, that's when they're able to kind of really work the map methodically. But Patrick Hu again, trying to get into the cubby. Bit of a bait there by Yudotan. Is May gonna contest that, try to challenge it? Just gonna set up the arc rose, but yeah, okay, TP out, please do not try to go for that angle. That's gonna open up space for Yudotan. He's gonna try to challenge him a bit.
Time to jump.
Okay, dimensional drift considered here. The gate crash goes through. Oh, he gets that ult off just in time. An attempt at clearing the gate crash, not quite going to connect there with the shorty. Spots out both players, gets himself over into Halls. Akame at the same time just pushing forward into the connector there, and Poppy just taken down. TV back out from May now. The pivot. DFM once again turn their sights over towards A.
Revealing area.
Two players nearby. The recon not spotting anybody over at main. Crystal, a quick jump peek there from dugout. On the wall now. Waiting for the swing. Clears the Thorns. Shock dart. Base of the stairs to try to slope the approach. The Thorns very much locking everyone in place. 27 seconds. Looks like a pivot call is going to be made here from DFM now, sprinting their way towards B. Yudotan still here. If you can find one from Halls.
Anytime.
That lockdown could come out. It's waiting patiently. Footsteps spotted. The shot there. Swinging forward. Interrupts the plant and kills them all. And Art will find one, Make gets the other, but the time, it's out of their hands. Yudotan's so quiet, so patient, so deadly.
Last round
Gets
in the half.
GE the round win. 3 in a row to now move up 6-5.
And again, the protocols and the kind of awareness is falling apart for DFM. He's going to see those feet right underneath that one-way. Uses the smoke against them so nicely. That was DFM smoke, by the way. And it worked right into Yudotan's hands. And they're not clearing Hall. We've seen this a couple times where they're not dealing with that very crucial position. I mean, you look at the teams that are really good on this map, it's because a lot of it, when they go B, they're clearing that Hall. You know, you see like T1, for example. They're throwing their duelists into that Hall to make sure it's clear. Every single time. You know, Buzz in particular is going to be one of those players who's making sure that that part of the map is theirs. And now you've got an ult here, like you said, for Yudotan.
And used it in the previous round when I thought he might, just to go ahead and ensure it didn't need it. As Crystal peek out, Crystal hunting, finding two. The Hunter's Fury, Patrick Hu, Yudotan both going to be taken down at the same time. But they have to respect this lockdown. They have to peel away. Spike not yet planted, 55 seconds remaining. As the Nebula obfuscating, stopping the drone from getting too much, but a blind shot still goes through. Quite a bit invested from both sides. It's still going to be Global Esports sitting in a slightly better position. Full HP armor across the remainder of these players. Art down to 5.
This has been so slow, though.
30 seconds left.
DFM is really unaware of what's going on in the
They're
map.
fully believing it seems like that this is going to be a hit onto the A site, and Art he's here to try to sell this one. He's passed the spike over. The wall activated now. Noise being heard here. Kame just basically having to sprint. If he gets interrupted at all, it would just be the end of the round, but they're still running low on time. 8 seconds remaining.
Crystal
makes it to the site, looking to go for the plant. Shock dart. Attempted the bounce, not able to find it. This time the spike does get planted. It's in play. 3v3, 3v2 is Art on the linger. Finds the IGL of Global. Thorns popped, stopping any attempt at a Hall's push. Kame taking a little bit more damage. Jinbunk. Last unscathed player is Crystal. Finds himself a third. 5 HP. They almost line up for him. But it's going to be Poppy left standing as Global get themselves a 7-5 half. This is after DFM convert the bonus. What a run back.
Switching sides.
Yeah, they're just doing a great job of getting the read on things. I mean, so far, I'm really stoked about the way Kelly S is running the ship. He is just captaining GE so nicely, and they are just keeping DFM guessing. You know, DFM trying to make some cheeky moves, Art trying to sell that they went over to A when they're actually doubling back towards B. That gets them the plant, but then they kind of spread and they're not able to win some of these 1v1s. But in general, just GE has a lot of these cool, cheeky ideas that, you know, this comp is actually kind of built to sort of deal with. G2, that's when I was watching them, you know, in the lead up to Masters, when I was watching them at Masters, that was something they do really well. You know, EDG would try to throw all these kind of trap plays, and they just kind of handle it nicely because you've got a couple TPs, you've got some ways to kind of handle some of that pressure, but DFM doesn't have those protocols built in yet. They were getting caught a lot of the time and not really able to keep control of that information game often. It was really GE who was ahead in that regard.
Right now, DFM needing to be the ones who are following the instructions on the sign. Widely quieted after the start of this map. It's been Patrick Hu, the one who's widely been filling this arena with noise. And I will not claim to speak Tagalog, but something tells me he's had some choice words thrown out in some of these post-round replays. But given the way that he's been playing, hey, you've absolutely earned it.
No doubt. He has just been stellar today in every aspect. May out in the open, able to TP out. Trying to bait a bit for Akame, but he got spotted. Turret there as well, so not really a ton.
Oh. Would have been a hell of a shot. Rendezvous back into the corner, but they should know pretty much exactly where he's gone. So for now, sort of just pinned. Honestly, Crystal could just go for a double shock dart to try to flush him out, but as the Nebula comes up, he will be able to reposition, just keeping him covered.
Trying to set up a crunch play in towards B-Link. May and Art trying to cut this off. They're going to have to cede control of the B side over. They can get this flank under control. Could still be good.
Oh, Art able to find one. Poppy trades it out. Takes a little bit of damage as May looks for a timing. Seeing the shock dart fly. Cannot confirm the kill, and Poppy's just holding down the door. 1 for 1 on the map in pistols. 2-2 in the series. Global Esports now with a 3-round lead.
Yeah, if that trap play doesn't completely eliminate GE's flank, if they don't have 2 players there, if it's just the one, you know, then May could feel a lot more comfortable to swing down, but they're just reading DFM at every twist and turn. May stuck in a bad spot, had to go for a hero play, couldn't convert. And GE looking like they might just take this map pick of DFM away from them, get some revenge from kickoff. DFM was able to take them down. Tap of the orb and high pen guns.
Oh.
Well, speaking of, it's a good kill for Yudotan. Catches Jinboong just out on the side on B. Maybe just the timing with the smoke there.
I'll see it back, but Global not looking. And he advantages. Very nice. Shot that from Akame. Finds Kelly S. Cluster up here from DFM. Call expecting this push here on the A site, but as Yudotan continues to scale forward, could just go ahead, sign out for the rest of the team, signal to them. This B site widely is opened up. It seems like DFM are acknowledging this potential timing, though. Thought of a pivot back, but
second guessed it.
Yep, are going to be sticking around here.
I don't know if maybe some footsteps got heard by Akame or something, but I thought maybe G was too far for that. It's just hard to say.
30 seconds left.
What convinced them that it was in fact A? They're going to know here in a second.
Yeah, they are. And there's the bad news. 4-player group up, 4 headhunter bullets in the hands here of Akame. Try to make a go of it, get a little bit more damage here perhaps. Pulling off the thrifty, just given the way that GE's been playing. Seems nigh impossible here for them, and they might even really try for it. Maybe some picks onto the exiting players perhaps. Akame swinging out, tailwind over the side, updraft from Patrick Kuch, trying to stay a little bit more elusive here. It's tiny bits of damage, and okay, eventually will get taken down. May finds Yudotan.
Okay.
But the time, not really gonna be there. It's just all about damage from here on out. Seems like that might just be the end of it, and it is. 2 players surviving. Once again, not too bad here. The damage dealt. Global Esports get themselves up to 9 all the same. A massive win streak now across the 2 halves.
Yeah, you're really gonna need to have a little bit of that and more. Just a jiggle peek. No smoke was even up. And long-range gunfire at B. Working a treat. A little bit of Astra util in there for good measure. Not that it was really needed.
Time for a field
But you're not able to carry much over. Guardian, Bulldog, and you got to buy up a little bit. Stinger, Sheriff, a Ghost. So GE here with weak weaponry. Gonna try to challenge this mid position. And Akame is holding down. Bit of an off angle.
Raifu at the ready. He's going to have to be Johnny on the spot with it. Finds the first, overstays though. Reads out for a little bit more, not necessarily anticipating that it was going to be a 3-player push in from Art. Speaking of, Art in the crossfire. Out on the side, able to find one. Patrick who going to be put down. Solid advantage gained here for the side of DFM as they need to prevent this bonus conversion. Trying to right the ship. Gian, a bit of damage there on the Crystal, but unable to find the headshot.
Yeah, they're just kind of waiting this out. Art's got to be so careful. if he can't win a 1v1 against Poppy coming out of Link, this could be very fruitful for GE.
Oh, he just pushes up into the smoke.
That's one way to deal with it.
He's able to play off the damage previously set there onto Crystal, so finds that kill, giving his life for the cause.
30 seconds left.
DFM from here can't really afford to have any more players lost. There's 20 seconds remaining. Kelly's is still able to find a kill. May going to be taken down. The swing out. Jinbung dead. All on GN, and Puppy is instantaneous with a headshot. Bonus is converted. The streak continues. Global Esports. Absolute domination. 7 rounds in a row.
Just a great idea there to overstack that angle. You know, force that chamber into a bad position. You have to TP after that first kill or else you're in trouble potentially. Doesn't happen. And then Art, this position here on A, he has no help. He has to either win the battle at A Link against Poppy if Poppy pushes that angle, or just do what he did and just kind of die for the cause there to try to slow GE down. But then that opens up the site for GE. They're able to get the plant, get into post plants. You know, there's no real backup and coordination in that position for DFM. Need to work through some of these defensive setups a little bit more, in my opinion, to make sure that, you know, there's backup ideas there. There's something else other than get the one and done. You need a little bit more coordination. We've seen a lot of that from GE today. They've been doing a great job.
Oh. This time Akame not going to be able to find the headshot. Yuratan taking him down. Quick little jiggle peek out. May does find the follow-up headshot. Potentially recover the weapon, but for the moment does not have any kind of gate crash set up to try to rejoin over on this A side a little bit faster. GN does manage to find one, dodges the shock. It's about the re-peek, but LES just strafing over. Finds the kill. There's the follow-up. Thorns gets situated. Just trying to hold them in place. Flash at the ready. The drone to try to check May. I don't believe he gets caught by this one, and the second shot is able to find Poppy. Crystal, however, there for the punish. Comes away with the kill. Full flash there onto Kelly S. Forces him into the back of dugout. As realistically, what do you try to do from here? Attempt at the Thorns, but quickly cleared the recon. Over the top to just try to get some kind of eyes on him, but Crystal swings the corner, comes up with 2. And Global Esports are now just 2 rounds away from closing out this series and slamming the door in DFM's face.
I love these post-plan ideas from Global Esports. That positioning with the spike causes a shock dart to miss, so they can get the spike down without taking any damage, and they can play this post-plant because they've got control over Secret, set up a crossfire with dugout, and make it really, really challenging for DFM to try to break that open. A really nice on-the-fly idea. Works a treat. You do have May's ult here. You have the operator for Akame. So has to be turned around right now for DFM. That's almost all of your cash invested in this. You know, yeah, you've got enough for another buy in the next round, more or less, but GE's got time and money on their side. They're just waiting out. Gonna get ahead of that wall, maybe. Nope, just one.
Who's up over the top, catches a glimpse there. May eating some damage, eating a death. Eventually the kill is found. Jinbung tucks here into the corner. Thought maybe he'd go for the spray, just try to get the wallbang shot on the Kelly S. Now attempting it, but the spike is already in play. The plant is there, and now there's a cosmic divide staring them all in the face.
Well, and they're all gonna group up and try to push from the other side of this cosmic divide. Could have created a flank angle, but
this is where you would love to have the dimensional drift still at the ready. Push out though. Wow. Quick peek from Jinbung, able to find one, but Kelly S situated up close. Gets rid of GN Art, falling moments before. 2v3, you have this up and play. The time is not on your side. Surely DFM, you have to get out of here. Consolation prize perhaps as the tap does allow you to draw up this Hunter's Fury. But this round, this map clearly is not yours. Global Esports will get up to match point.
Match point.
it's difficult to watch this because this DFM team looks scared. They look like they're not confident in some of their decisions. They're not creating flank angles. They're not trying to work against the ults of their opponents. And I would say if you're going to stack up behind this Cosmic Divide, you make a great point here, Achilleos, that not only do you not have May's ult, but you don't have the flashes either to try to break through to the other side of that Cosmic Divide. So you need to create flank angles there. You need to go through Art and clear that and then try to make your retake. Instead, they just try to go for a kind of a flood play. Just gets shut right down. Plus, there's the Cosmic Divide there. Okay, that's not great for Akame.
And there's no exit.
Nope.
Flick misses. Rendezvous does not go out. They're just trying to reposition Art desperately. Everything hunting here for a kill and will be rewarded with one. Poppy going to be taken down, so at least able to trade one out.
And that's the smoke's gone. That makes this round, in theory, quite a bit easier. Patrick, who's so far forward, Art able to outduel him. That's a big win for DFM.
Now into a 3v4. Kelly's getting a bit damaged still. Not going to be dead quite just yet, but is whittled away at down to 40 HP. Making this a bit more unlikely to be the conclusion of the map, but
they have no idea.
He's got different ideas. How patiently does he play it is going to be the question here. GN at the same time able to find Kelly, so now he knows that he's running out of time. Spots the first player. Would love to go a little bit deeper, get some more information, but instead we'll just settle for killing the Jinbook here at Flowers. Now invests the lockdown.
Oh, and that alarm bot, so smart.
The swing around the back to fake out, catching a shot. GN able to find the kill there. But the detain, it manages the strike. Crystal comes away with one. May still here, sending out the flash. The time is just not going to be on his side. They play it wisely. DFM not overstepping here. They will get themselves another round victory, breaking a huge win streak from the side of Global Esports and ensuring that this series does not come to an end quite just yet.
Is that 9 in a row? Is my math right?
Yes.
Cool. I mean, it takes these opening kills with a Hunter's Fury to essentially turn this round on its head, and still Yudotan almost makes a brilliant play there. Again, on the fly, unorthodox stuff, but I love the way he uses that alarm bot so that he can cut towards Secret to make sure that he can, you know, he knows he's outmanned in that situation, and using that alarm bot as an extra person, basically. Smart stuff, doesn't work out, but, you know, with that dimensional drift available for May, but you're able to bait that out. So, plenty of time here, plenty of rounds to work with for GE. Up and over with the blades, doesn't get much.
Eyes at the ready, May able to find one. Escapes the gate crash, but down the 9 HP. Push forward, Art just gonna be absolutely massacred as Kelly is so far in. Poppy now finding GN, and it's starting to unravel. Spike gonna be planted. Ult invested, weapons taken away. May dropping down out from Flowers. Kelly S having to backpedal, shifts away, but Jinbook out of the Nebula. Poppy clearly just not quite registering it. Ends up getting eliminated, but two players are so very low, and somehow May survives. He's in with a headshot, Crystal. No util to speak of. You can see the frustration there in the player cam, realizing that it's just not worth for him to try to fight this one out. The fuse comes in, DFM find themselves a 7th round victory.
I'll pick them apart. You clean up whatever's left.
Yeah, so this time, well, you're able to stop the Blade Storm from really doing a ton there. Kelly S trying to break the site open. Him and Poppy doing a good job, but this time around DFM coming from a couple of different angles, and May just holding the line at Secret there. You know, GE kind of feeling pretty confident. Again, they have some rounds to play with, so they're allowed to try to push towards Art like Yudotan did. Try to push towards Secret, yeah.
This occurred to me that they still have 2 timeouts.
Who does?
DFM. They haven't used a single one. G is the only one that's timed out on this map.
Oh.
Might come to
I guess you're right. I hadn't realized that either.
All right, well, a loss of May. Akame able to go ahead and find Patrick Hu, so a trade on the Duelist, but Akame down the 10. As things grind to a halt here. You just see what they can figure out around Art, but Not much being gained here.
My ultimate's ready.
Strong spots out one. Kelly S now ultimate going to be online. Might just pull the trigger on that once this vice wall is gone on B.
Adapt!
Just gonna use that steel guard in.
Pushes Art forward.
So smart.
Yutan is there, ready to find that elimination. Jian holding the door, however, Jinbung says, I got a classic, that's fine. Buy the bundle, baby. Peeks in, Yutan gonna be taken down. Now the spike is stranded. All three players stacked up. GE would have to just brawl their way through this. It's clear on the flash, headshot instantaneous. Jinbung with the 3K cleanup. He's a DFM, still afloat.
They brought weapons made of metal to kill me.
I love the idea again from GE. Using that ult to flush players out, but fortunately, GN, whew. I mean, there have been some snappy shots from DFM, but the game plan widely has been much better for GE. And who's actually taking the timeout? Who actually pulled the trigger here?
It's Global Esports.
It's Global, yeah, they're using their second. Still two for DFM.
Not feeling quite as confident, perhaps, on the closeout here as they were on Lotus. Where we didn't have to really see any intervention this time. Calling it for the pause. Wanting to ensure that they are able to bring this to a conclusion. Not let DFM take this all the way into overtime.
Very curious. You know, this can be one of those rounds. Can't quite remember what the economy's looking like here for GE, but try to go for something.
I believe it's not in a great spot.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was feeling.
But here's the biggest concern for me.
Yeah.
Start of the map, bonus conversion comes in. 3 in a row for DFM.
Yeah.
Lose to a Thrifty.
That's correct.
How many rounds in a row have DFM just won?
I see, 3.
And GE's on a Thrifty attempt. Surely.
So you're reading the tea leaves here.
Surely.
Yeah.
It doesn't end like this.
Uh-huh. You say that. I mean, you've got an operator, you've got a couple ults, you've got a dead operator.
Got a dead op. It's Patrick Hu just over the top. That hero rifle trades it out for the operator. Cloudburst covering fire. Obfuscation there as Jen will do well to go ahead and ensure that that remains on the floor.
Well, now he's got problems.
He is able to get away, not taking any damage.
Fortunate timing on that jiggle peek, but it does seed the operator back over to Kelly S this time. Change of directions, change of ideas. Art and May trying to set up just a check there. Getting some info, but it's actually a step ahead of where GE was coming. So Art all on his own here. There's no one else anywhere near this.
And he is in such a committed position with nothing to play around with, nothing to really work for him. The recon not used, hits the first shot, hits a second, and that might just be enough. Cosmic Divide now going to be called out, but already Yutan pushing well past that.
30 seconds left.
Could be widely unconcerned. He looks to try to flood a little bit deeper, fight forward. Cannot find more. Crystal now on 1v2. The op in hand, the tap of the spike. Now we'll commit in for the plant itself. As the Cosmic Divide has dissipated. The peek in, May. Pre-firing the angle, will find the headshot. And this time, DFM will not allow it to happen. See, I was right. And that's going to be them now getting up to 9.
My ult's ready. Good try, idiots.
You can't admit though that you weren't not worried a little bit.
Oh,
at moments during that round.
As soon as Hakame died. It's like, how have I done this?
It definitely felt like it, but great stuff here from Art. I mean, we see these moments from DFM, but the bigger picture seemingly mostly in GE's favor. But 4 in a row for DFM. Not giving up.
Needing to make it 7 to get this into OT.
Doable. Got a couple. You got, well, one all that really matters. Since you have the dimensional drift. Check with the drone. Hakame trying to dodge it a little bit, but
I was gonna say there's no one peeking to try to clear it here for him. So
Standing ahead.
we'll just have to send the shot. So operator going to be identified. Needs to be able to get out of here if things go sideways. The drone shoves them back a bit. Start popped, not gonna go for a timing shot. They all drift across, the swing out, tries to hit the hospital flick, but this time will be able to get out unscathed.
Now that's a tough play. Good job by GE there to at least break that angle open, but this is kind of opening up the rest of the map for them. There's gonna be the wall that Yudotan, see if he pops it or not. He just pinged it out, hasn't opted. I don't think he got it to go just yet, I'm not sure, but they're just waiting now for the reinforcements. Want to make sure that every position is clear here. Do have the Cosmic Divide, so maybe just going to set it up to cover the front of the site. That's my guess.
Gate crash from May just expiring. Going to be a little bit further away as Patrick Hu looks for the opener and finds it. Jinbum going to be taken down. Site widely opened up, 20 seconds remaining on the clock to push forward. Crystal going for the plant. Thorn set up. Spike in play, 5 players still strong here for the side of G as they look to bring this series to its end. Dimensional drift out, May scouting, calls here, noticing Patrick Hu's on the corner, Akame able to hold the line, finds the first, now brings it back into a 4v4. Time working against them, the swing up from Yudotan, faces back in towards mid, Arc gonna be eliminated, Jien off screen, able to find Kelly S and May, flushes out Yudotan, the Hunter's Fury to try and delay, Jien gonna be taken down. Poppy saved up, and look at the damage, both of them eating the hit, as May, he dies, but the defuse is there, Akame doing his best, Sylvan comes away with a round win. DFM 2 off, taking us now into overtime.
I mean, this looked like this was game, set, match for GE. Patrick Hu gets the opening kill. Then things kind of start to crumble a little bit. Yudotan there, able to be cleared out of ARP. I mean, there was so much post-plant utility. I mean, you had Nanos, you had the Astra, you had the Vice util, you had the Hunter's Fury. I thought for sure GE was just going to be able to kind of scrape by on that. But again, DFM is getting more active on the map. They're coming from more angles on these retakes. And that started to get them these round wins that they so desperately needed. It's kind of made it a lot more difficult for GE to just post up into their post-plant positions. And they're able to clear out players fast enough to just barely squeak through with a round win. Now push towards Art. Trying to overstack this A-side angle. GN's like, well, I've been here before. And this is something that GE's been dipping into to win rounds.
Akame here at main, in behind the box. The trademark going to be cleared out over towards Art. The lockdown in play. Sights in towards main once again, but felt Kelly S very suspicious about this position, but isn't going to confirm anything here. The jiggle peek out, the shoulder spotted. The shot flies, but Akame cannot find the punish. A world away from his rendezvous. As the flood gets ready to come through. Nice flick, finds one. Crystal can take it down. The redraw on the up, and Patrick Hu is dead. Tries to find this final flick, cannot make it happen, but Kelly S is the last one standing. Is my God DFM. You look at the money here for the side of Global Esports. A full loss bonus. But it's just Kelly S slowly slipping away with the op in hand. And DFM getting this one round away from an overtime.
This is quite the map. What looked like it was just going to be GE kind of running away with this series. Could have an overtime. Well, okay, Kelly S.
It's calling like he's so low.
Get him.
The operator will be retained.
I mean, what a play here from Akame. Stuck on A main. GE knows it.
The first one was great. The second one, I couldn't believe.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's like, I'm peeking, I'm shooting, and I'm moving back, and I'm just going to keep swinging side to side until they take me out. He does a great job with it. That saves their round life. I mean, GE not doing the wrong thing in that situation. They got to clear that position, but just got outplayed. Timeouts be damned. DFM might just send it into OT.
And Art's got an Odin. Will this be the tool that gets them into overtime and gets them an opportunity to still yet extend this series over towards split?
I like that from Art. Kind of recognizes that That might be a bit of bait from GE. You know, G's been doing this so much. He kind of recognizes that they might overstack this angle again, so I better get out of there and just wait this out. Still have the Hunter's Fury as well for Art, so he's getting into what I suspect is a position to try to find some value out of that. TP being sent out by May to try to cover over towards the A site. Top of the wall here. This is the old T1 play-ish.
And Poppy has to be the hero. The one to get them some information, trying to sell. Art starts drifting his way back over. Hunter's Fury is available to try to interrupt the plan. Still one forward, they get themselves here onto the site. They're onto the Nano. Hunter's Fury going to be coming in, but it's going to be late. Now having to assess and try to spot out these players. The updraft out the window, shot somehow not connecting. Akame nearly able to find it. Got battle, however, the shot connecting. Check it down the fadeaway from Patrick, who gets rid of May. And somehow, some way, DFM now very much on the back foot. Swing on the corner, Akame, the last one left standing, and not for long. Close but no cigar. Global Esports do not allow for DFM to run it back, to take it into overtime. They close out Pearl 13-11, and they take their opening series here at stage 1.
Oh, what a final round there for Patrick, who welcome to VCT Pacific. Big win here for Global Esports as they looked phenomenal through most of this match, to be frank. I mean, only that run back from DFM really had them on the ropes. It felt like, you see Kellyas very excited to have Patrick here with him, giving him a big hug, and this time off during the off season, DFM still has a lot to work on, still not really in a place where they'd like to be, and potentially a challenging stage 1 ahead of them.
I'll tell you what, if Patrick, who he's going to keep having moments like that, yeah, I mean, I'd say the overall Pearl a little bit wobbly.
Yeah.
But if he's going to be able to find those fine moments when the tension is at its highest, and now that this guy was able to travel over to Korea, get his visa, spoil him, because if he's going to keep giving you
I want more of
like
that.
then
Please.
good Lord.
Yeah.
You got to hold on to him, treat him like royalty. Incredible. Well, we'll get ready to hear from one of these players on the side of Global Esports and see how it feels being able to rack up this win off the start. I mean, again, we talked about how important it was to be able to find this victory here at the start of this group. Given where they're at, given who their opponents are going to be. For DFM, a solid rally back, but unfortunately not going to be enough to take us over towards Split. And with that photo, we'll send it down to the stage where Jen's going to be standing by for our victory interview.
Congrats, GE now. I'm looking for Patrick. Patrick, all right, come over here, Patrick. Here's your microphone. Over here. 네, GE의 패트리크 선수 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 박수 부탁드립니다. 승리 너무너무 축하드리고요. 우선 이 정체성에 대한 질문부터 해야 될 것 같습니다. 이름이 본명이 마크입니다. 그럼 도대체 패트릭은 누구일까요? Now, Patrick who? Here's the biggest question of tonight. Who is Patrick? I mean, your name's Mark.
Yeah. It was just a random name that I use back when I'm competing Tier 2 in Philippines.
필리핀에서 그냥 티어 2 리그를 뛸 때 그냥 아무 이름이나 랜덤하게 고른 게 패트릭이라고 하고요. 이름은 마크입니다. 자, 드디어 퍼시픽 무대에서 경기를 치를 수 있게 됐습니다. 오늘 전반적으로 어땠는지부터 소감 들어보고 싶네요. Now, you're finally here. We're happy to have you here perform on the stage. But how was it for you? You know, it's the moment you've been waiting for, got delayed a little bit. And are you happy with how you performed tonight?
It was fun playing on stage, but I'm not satisfied on what I showed today. So yeah, I will make sure that I will perform better next match.
재미는 있었지만 아무래도 첫 경기이다 보니까 좀 경기력에 스스로 만족스럽지는 않지만 다음에 더 좋은 모습 보여주기 위해서 열심히 할 것 같다고 얘기를 하는데요. 그도 그런 게 사실 스탯상으로는 또 요루를 처음으로